Good afternoon, and welcome again to the Monday, September 29th, 2008 informational meeting of the Sioux Falls City Council. I will now call this meeting to order. And first up is City Council staff report. We have updates from Deborah A. Owen, City Clerk.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Sioux Falls City Council. At the end of this brief discussion, I wanted to show you one of the web greetings, as all of you have gone down to Channel 16 and have shot that video for your web page. There are still a few changes we're having done, and there may be a couple of you who will need to reshoot, but I'll show you Greg Jameson's, which actually is kind of completed. See, second time's a charm. And so you'll see that. But just to let you know, the Districting Commission met again today. This is the second time they had met. They elected their chair. By charter, the City Council appoints 4 members. You appointed 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and today they elected their chair, which was Susan Sabers from Fuller Sabers Law Firm. She will be a great asset to the team, and we look forward to working with her. In addition, they began looking at the maps for the redistricting for the districts. You'll notice, if you looked at any of the maps recently, the City of Sioux Falls is growing clearly on the west end of town, and particularly the south end, and so what we'll probably end up seeing from that commission is the north, east, and west districts will be kind of moving down a little bit. The central will need to enlarge, and then the southern will probably shrink up a bit, and that's when they'll have that done. That'll come before the council for your final approval, or actually you'll take action if you don't approve. And we'll keep you posted on how that proceeds forward. In addition, just to remind you, the South Dakota Multi-Housing Association and Trade Show will be at the Ramcoda. I know that numbers of you will be working with that. There also is, we're preparing some things to put in your booth for that, for those who will be attending. And there's another water bill insert that will be going out. It is similar to the one that we sent out last year with your contact information on the back of all of the council members. It has the addition of the 2 new council members, Jameson and Anderson Jr. And so we had extras of these printed so you can hand those out at the booth for contact information. And let's see, inside Town Hall, the next taping will be October 3rd, 12:15 and 12:30, and so we're looking for council members who would volunteer to be on that program, and or perhaps even more than one. Sometimes I think there was a discussion about bringing in a panel or 2 or more of you all to kind of jazz it up a bit. So just encourage you, if you have that date open, if you could just email the clerk's office, and we'll get you scheduled. And then finally, the South Dakota Municipal League Annual Conference is next week, October 8th through the 10th in Pierre. I think Council Members Litz, our chair, and Council Member Brown will be attending on behalf of the council, and that will be in Pierre. And also the National League of Cities, we have both Council Members Jameson and Anderson Jr. will be attending. So we have met our minimum of the council's policy to send at least 2 members to that national conference. But encourage any of the rest of you who may want to still consider going. You certainly can. We do have funding for that. In addition, just to remind those of you, I know some of you use the laptops here, and some of you use them at home. Of course, with the program of Granicus, you can access all of the items on the electronic agenda in the meeting, which is kind of that go green we're trying to move towards. So if you ever need any help from the staff to help become familiar with how to use that, please let us know. We'll be of assistance. And finally, I'll see if I can get this to go for you. This is Greg Jameson, his web greeting. Well, apparently without sound. Can you fill in, Greg? Oh, my apologies. You'll see that the district is highlighted, though, and for him, that was the first video we shot, and so we're going to go ahead and put in the map for the other district members who didn't have that included in your original web greetings. So we'll make those changes, and there are going to be a couple of reshoots for some of those who just could have been a little bit smoother. I apologize. I know. Well, it shows you're concentrating. A great video, though. It turned out really well. All of you did a great job, and I look forward to seeing those posted up. So I'll let you go since I can't make the sound work. Thank you.
Any questions of Deborah?
I just think he's a very good-looking counselor.
He cleans up nice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Really does a nice job. He has a nice smile, too.
Bob, right.
Kenny?
Okay. For the redistricting committee, you have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, And then that you have a chair, so you have 5 different people?
Yes.
What's a chair? Is a chair an independent, or?
You know, I actually don't know. By the charter, you can't have no more than 3 members of any particular party, and because the council had elected to do it equal by your 4 appointments, it really didn't matter what a party affiliation Susan Sabers is. And I talked with her today, and she didn't volunteer it yet, so I'm sure she'll give it up soon. But we look forward to her working, actually, because the Districting Commission and for the city elections are nonpartisan in many ways. And there's also some stipulations in charter. You know, there's not a lot of, you can't create these oblong-looking boundaries. They have to be, I think, the shortest and they have to be very concise. They can't be like, clear around the edge of the town or something like that. So the charter is very specific in how those boundaries should appear when they're all done. So there's not a lot of wiggle room for all of that. But you're sure welcome. We've made those meetings open to the public. And actually, as the next one, which will be in October, the last Tuesday in October at 4 p.m., I think that's the 29th. That will be open as well, and we have the maps. We'll begin actually doing the real work of the committee and moving forward with that. So,
Councilor Knudsen.
Deborah, regarding the multi-housing project, their forum on the 9th is that, and I do plan, as I said before, to attend that, is I just wanted to tell all of you that at a Housing First meeting the other day, I was visiting with Russ Sorensen from our planning department and just telling him about that gathering and so forth. And just, I guess earlier in the meeting, he had indicated that he had distributed some brochures, like on our code enforcement program and so forth. And so I just told him about the multi-housing program and suggested that he might want to make some of those materials available, and maybe even a staff person might even want to, sit there with us. So I just wanted to share that with you as far as some of the other literature that would be helpful to the average person visiting our booth that evening.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Knudsen. Any other questions of Deborah? Very good. I see the mayor's office is no longer in the chamber here. Audit committee. Anybody from audit?
Bob, did you have something?
Pardon me?
Did you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Staggers. She's on the agenda further down here, so I'd like to stick with the normal procedures that we do have here. Audit committee. No report. Very good. From Mr. Costello. Fiscal committee.
No report.
No report from Mr. Bennigan. Land use committee.
No report.
No report from Mr. Jamison. Public Services Committee.
No report.
No report from Kenny. Very good. Okay, this is a time that we set aside for a little city council open discussion. Are there any items for the general good here? Councilor Knudsen.
Yes, just a few odds and ends. In yesterday's Star Tribune, Minneapolis, St. Paul paper, there was just a very good article about this program called Open Arms, and the intention of it is the mission is to feed the chronically, it's not homeless per se, but it just reminded me of our Housing First program, and it was just so wonderful because a couple volunteers in their program purchased a whole bunch of land for their expansion and gave it to the community, and it just reminded me so much of a recent discussion we had again at our Housing First committee meeting last week, and we have another one set very soon. And I'd really like to encourage some of you other councilors to join me soon at that meeting. But we are still putting out a public plea to the world, to our whole community, that we are still looking for the possibility of someone stepping forward who really believes in this cause, because it is more than a county commission cause and more than a city council cause, to step forward and think about even providing some free land for this wonderful, badly needed facility. And also at our meeting, we also are talking about some downtown properties that are for sale, maybe looking at those. And we're also, and one of our very capable staff people suggested to us that we might want to look bigger than just that facility. We might want to look at a request for proposal for an entire project, including like maybe more affordable housing and so forth to go with this. So just know that the Housing First people are making good progress, and we'd like to have some more participation from City Council. Being a compulsive recycler, I'm so pleased to know that the City of Sioux Falls is now going to be able to get into, we'll start October 1st single stream recycling. I predict that will almost double our efforts. I just think visitors who come to our building and other city facilities it will just make it easier, more convenient for them to recycle. and I'm so pleased about that. Also, I had an email last evening from a man who is working hard on the Native American Day, and I would like to invite all of you on behalf of Chad Nielsen to on a Native American Day, which, as you know, is Monday, October 13th at 1 o'clock. There will be a program in the Belbus Theater, and the guest speaker is a man from Omaha named Charles Trimble, and I have biographical information on that. And I'm sorry I forgot to tell you that next Housing First committee meeting for not only Councilor Litz and Councilor Anderson, but any of the rest of you that would be free, is Wednesday, October 22nd at 9:30 a.m. And again, we meet in the conference room near Judy Boozman, Director Boozman's office. And I can give you that information again later. And then I'm thinking about Event Center for a moment. I still am very interested in our community building an event center, as I know many of you up here are. And I just wanted to tell you that over the weekend, the League of Women Voters is starting to make calls to legislative candidates, telling them when the large legislative forum is going to be. And I just thought you might all be interested in knowing that. It's going to be Saturday, October 25th, from 10 to 11:30 a.m., and obviously we have many concerns as city councilors besides the idea of trying to persuade legislators to allow us to raise the sales tax 1% for 15, 20 years or whatever it will take to get a badly needed event center built, but we obviously have many other issues too. But I just wanted you to know about that forum because you might want to put that on your calendar. Saturday, October 25th, 10 to 11:30 a.m. at the Washington Pavilion. And my last notice for today, I think my last one, no, actually not, is that as you know, I am the mayor's appointee for the Sioux Falls Sports Authority. I so much appreciated Councilor Costello sitting in for me recently when I was out of town. But anyway, just would like to remind everyone out there listening and that that website is excellent. And so you just go www.siouxfallssportsauthority.org. All of that spelled out. Sioux Falls is spelled out. SiouxFallsSportsAuthority.org. And again, it's just getting way closer to the time now for the Holiday Hoops Fest over Thanksgiving weekend, and also for the very, very important Summit League tournament in March 7th through the 10th, 2009. And again, we will host that in 2010, as you all know. But again, it's what I'm trying to do is make more people aware of what the Sports Authority is doing, the mission, and so forth, and also to encourage people to go to that website and sign up to volunteer. And then I've been hearing from the Whittier neighborhood more, and they have a couple of meetings set up in October, and the next one is October 9th at 7 o'clock at the Joe Foss Alternative School. And so I promised the Whittier folks I would share that message with you. And also want to tell you, in conjunction with the State Theater Project, Historical Preservation Downtown, and I'm so glad that Stacey Newcomb Weiland could be with us today, but next time you're near the Coliseum Multicultural Center, will you please look at the fabulous improvement on the masonry that has been done, and it's been done by inmates at our penitentiary, and I'm so appreciative of their effort, and it really is looking great. And that's probably enough for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of Councilor Knutson? Councilor Knutson, I think that when we talked about the enabling tax that the legislature would have to approve of in order for us to build and fund part of the event center as well as other communities if they wanted to likewise, I think that the number that has been talked about was more in the area of 3 years instead of 15 or 20. I don't think 15 or 20 would ever be able to pass. So
I think I came up with that number 15. I believe that's what North Dakota had done. I think that's where I came up with that wild number. But that would be wonderful. It would just be 3 years. I'm so hopeful that we can persuade our next year's legislature to get this done.
And I think the number that for the projected numbers that we do have on the event center, it was 3 years. So, and it would be used as a partial funding source.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else for the good of Councilor Staggers?
Yes, actually, I got a question for you, Bob. Back in August, the head of the planning department said that by the end of September, we would receive some information on what's going on with Pettigrew Heights. And, well, we're almost down to the end of the month. Have you heard of anything in your various meetings with the mayor or anything?
No,
about what's going
Mr.
on with
Staggers,
Pettigrew
I have
Heights?
not, and I...
We received an email from Erica Beck on that topic today. Have you seen that, Councilor
No.
Staggers?
No, I didn't.
I think that information will be helpful to you going into our meeting next Monday.
Yes, and I was going to bring that up, but personally, I haven't heard anything, and I'm, looking forward to that presentation from Mrs. Beck, or Miss Beck, Mrs. Beck, because I think she's going to provide, I guess it's my sense that maybe they came to an impasse with the negotiations. I'm not certain about
Okay.
that.
And then one other quick question I have. If you've heard any information about what's going on with the that airport ordinance, there was going to be kind of an ad hoc committee established with...
And my understanding...
what's happened?
My understanding on that is that they still do meet once a month, and right now that the requirements for the overlay and the permits have all been suspended, and I think their sense of urgency might be need to be rekindled as to what they're going to do with that and what they're going to bring forward. Right now, they've been meeting on a monthly basis since July, I think it was, when we had we came to terms with it. And where they're at with that, Mr. Staggers, I really couldn't tell you.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. But that's a good point. Next time I'm out at Home Builders, I think I will bring that up to get those people to make some resolution of what they want to bring forward. Anything else for the good of the order? Very good. Okay, now we're going to get up to a couple of things here. Not a staff report, but we have our monthly financial update by Gene Rowenhorst, Director of Finance. Gene, please come forward.
Gene Rowenhorst, Director of Finance. You should have all received a hard copy in your mailboxes and also received an electronic copy of this month's report. It's pretty quiet. We've got a couple things I'll touch on later on, but starting up front on page 1, you can see that we are still well above our ratios for the 25%. And then also for the 12% that we want for a low point in our reserves, we're also in good shape there. So we continue to be in good shape there. One thing to point out, if you go way down to the lower right-hand corner, we are 63% expended as of the end of August, and that's 67% of the year. So we've got some money that is yet to be spent and get us in an even keel with the budget. So this is good that the money is there. There's nothing really new to talk about on the CIP. I've got some comments on some stuff later on in the report about individual projects. Page 3, our sales tax came in at the end of August at 1.4%. That's a decline. We have not received all of the information yet for September. I think we will have it all tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have our last check for the month of September. And we'll see how we came out there. But I'll get you an email on that probably sometime towards the end of this week as to where the sales tax is coming out at. If we still came out at the 2.4%, or I'm sorry, the 1.4% that's indicated on the August report, that means that we would have about $2.5 million less than what we have in the budget. So we are already starting the process of making sure that we don't overrun our headlights as far as committing funds that we don't have. So that we're going to have to work very carefully with the various departments to make sure that capital projects are not going to exceed where we end up at the end of the year. And like I say, I'll have a report out to you probably Wednesday, something like that. One of the things I wanted to point out to you that we're trying to improve, it's kind of for our own convenience also, but it's helpful to you. If you look at the bottom of page 4 in the transit system, we've added some line items that gives a little more explanation as to where revenues are coming from, and then right below it in the expenditure section, we broke apart the operating from the capital. There continues to be a lot of confusion between capital and operating when you start talking about our budget, and this helps a little bit break it apart, because sometimes it seems like people tend to include capital in the operating when they start talking about the budget. That's important. And so we've done it there. We've also, if you flip the page to page 5, we've also done it with storm drainage, opened that up a little bit, pointing out the, in this case, the big part of it is the revenue, and the expenses, I'm sorry, the operating capital, and then there we include debt service on that one. So just something to clarify things a little bit. If you go to page 7 on our enterprise funds, they all seem to be generating a nice cash flow and seem to be in line with our plans for the year, and also with the rates and that, we're raising the right amount of money that we need to with the rate increases, so that we'll have the reserves we need, or actually not reserves, capital requirements when we need them to pay for capital needs. Going back, one that's probably one of the more important for you as operating, or as the council, starting on page 9, is the CIP projects for the year. And you can see we've gotten them down to almost none of them that have the shaded N in there, which means that nothing has been started on those projects yet. However, if you flip to page 12, you'll see on the lower right-hand corner there, under balance, $88 million. That's a pretty big number to have left, but if you start going back through the projects, we have $4 million on the East Side Sanitary Sewer. We have $14 million on the water purification plant. We have another $10 million for Lewis and Clark that will be going out. So there's some relatively big items that have been started, and the money will be going out before year end. So I don't want you to think that the $88 million is going to turn up with one of these large numbers again at the end of this year that we have to carry forward. With that, that's pretty much all I've got to report. Like I say, it's relatively quiet. The big thing will be the sales tax, to see where that comes in, and we'll be ready to talk about that in about Wednesday or so. So if there's any questions.
Gene, I just have one. I'm wondering if it's possible, if it's easy for you to do, to take the project status, the codes that you use, and summarize that at the end by what's being in progress, not started, signed, designed, construction, and complete. That way, when we get to the end of the year, when we know exactly where our sales tax revenue is going to be, we'll have a priority list of maybe some of the things that haven't been started or are in the process.
We should be able to do that. I hate to commit solidly to stuff like that because I'm not the whiz kid that I got working for me. So,
Any other questions of Gene? Councilor Brown.
Gene, not a question, but Deborah had done some checking with Rapid City to see where they're at with their sales tax, and she'd let us know that they're at 1.03% increase, so less than us. I visited with Aberdeen today. They're actually up 6%. But they have a couple factors going on. They have 2 plants under construction, a beef plant and a fiberglass plant, and then also the farm economy is very strong, and I believe that helps them there. And then Watertown, our 4th largest city, they're seeing an increase of, from February through July, they're up 3.2%. But they also have an ethanol plant within city limits there that doubled in size, so the electric and natural gas sales taxes are helping them there. So just for your sake of comparison.
interestingly enough, we had a conversation about 2 weeks ago with the state economist, and the larger cities are down rather dramatically, and the smaller cities are up rather dramatically, which is kind of interesting. The state has a budget of somewhere around 5%, I believe, increase for their sales tax. But it really is interesting. We could probably bring those charts over for you at an informational meeting that we've got. It's really interesting for this year what's happened to the sales tax. It's really strange how, like I say, Sioux Falls is down like it is, Rapid City's down, and yet some of the smaller cities are up dramatically. But they didn't discuss with us things like ethanol plants and that, so that's new information to know that. But anything like that creates a pretty good distortion when you start comparing numbers in a state this size. So
I think both the construction going on in those communities, unusually large projects, and then the strong farm economy at this point are the two biggest factors aiding Aberdeen and Watertown.
I wish we could get some hard information that it is the farming community, but it probably is.
Councilor Staggers.
Yes, Gene, I understand that there's the possibility the city might be bonding for $50 million for the arterial streets and then paying it off with the increase that the city council passed on the sales taxes. Is that right or wrong?
There is, if you recall, there is a scenario, and in fact, I think that's been shared with the council, that would involve some bonding over a short period of time, so we could accelerate getting the streets in place and then recover that with the new assessments that we got in place.
So when would we start that bonding? Any idea?
We're going to have to start working with our advisor in that pretty quick, and with Mark Cotter, to figure out when we really got to kick in the bonding and that. It's out there, but there's no definitive plan at this point as far as dates and things like that.
Okay.
Mr. Rowenhurst, that wouldn't necessarily be paid for directly by the increase that we did, but it'd be a general obligation bond backed by the second penny?
It's not a general, well, yeah, okay, it'd be backed by the second penny. It's not a general obligation bond. We cannot issue general obligation bonds without an election. You can issue bonds with revenue bonds without an election.
Okay.
So it would be a second penny backup for it.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions of Gene? Very good, thank you, Gene, for your time and your presentation. There's a lady out there that's been very patient with us today, Stacy Newcomb-Weiland, and Stacy's going to come up and give us an update on the Sioux Falls State Theater restoration. Stacy, please, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Stacy Newcomb-Weiland. I'm here representing the Sioux Falls State Theater Company. I'm the project manager as well as a board member for that organization. Mainly, I'm here today just to give you an update on progress at the State Theater and also to ask for your support of the project. I'll just continue and hope that I can do this PowerPoint properly. Many of you you would recognize this corner. This is the corner where Cafe 334 is, about 12th and Phillips Avenue. And this is what it looked like in 1939 when they were showing the film Gone with the Wind. And this is where the term blockbuster comes from. When you would show a popular film, the people would line up around the entire block and wait for tickets and wait to get in, of course. The State Theater seats about 1,000 people. When it opened, it seated actually more than that, closer to 1,500. The State Theater, of course, has survived the last 20 or 30 years, as we've seen a bit of a decline in downtown Sioux Falls. The Hollywood, the Egyptian, the Granada were theaters downtown at one time, and of course they're gone. And the State Theater has been spared their fate. It stands ready to be restored, and as we've discovered, it's a real important piece to our redevelopment project downtown. For the fact that this building has been saved, we can thank a lot of people who have been involved in the last, especially during the last 6 years. The City of Sioux Falls has actually been one of the stakeholders involved in this project, which is one reason I wanted to update you and let you know that your money is, the money that you allocated for this project has gone to very good use. The State Theater has already either raised or invested $900,000 in this building. And what we've accomplished to date is a new roof on the building, which of course saved it from further destruction. We have purchased the building. We've done a feasibility study. We've rehabilitated the marquee and the facade, which is the piece that the city did recently, helped with recently in the facade easement program. We have new architectural plans, new business plans, new development plans, and marketing materials. And right now, we're in the middle of the lobby restoration, which is currently we're raising money for that will be finished, we hope, a year from now or earlier. These are some pictures of what the theater looked like, of course, first in 1926 as it opened. The marquee was different at that time, as you can see. It opened with much fanfare. It was a big, big development project for Sioux Falls. In 2006, of course, it had fallen into decline, and you can see that it wasn't looking very good at that point. But again, in 2007, as we did the facade and the marquee, it really looks pretty spectacular now, which I'm sure most of you have seen it. We think timing is everything, and though the project has been going on pretty steadily since 2002, it has actually followed the downtown resurgence, which I think is important to note. In 2002, we didn't have Phillips to the Falls. We didn't have a lot of the buildings downtown that have been rehabilitated since then. And when you just look at what we've done since 2002, it's really followed the progress of downtown Sioux Falls. And we feel that now it's time, the moment is right. It may not have been ready in 2002, given downtown wasn't fully developed, but I think it's really ready right now, as it was back in 1926, to become a cornerstone of downtown Sioux Falls and provide an important economic piece or component to the growing business community. Here, this is the newspaper that was out when the theater opened in 1926. As you can see on the left-hand column, it says, "The opening of the new theater shows faith in the city." And then that article goes on to talk about that was an important piece of the development that was going on at the time, and that the fact that they could build a new theater at that time meant that the city was really growing and thriving. And I think today what it means is if we can reopen this theater, it again means that the downtown is thriving and really ready for the next piece that's going to help support the downtown businesses. The State Theater has support of a growing number of people. Of course, the 2015 plan, you're all very familiar with. We have noted that it impacts directly many of your goals, and I know you're familiar with them, so I'll just restate the numbers that we've particularly noted, 1, 4, and 5, and then, of course, it's directly mentioned in goal number 6 of that plan. We have a lot of key support, including support from the Washington Pavilion. The new CEO there feels that this is a really important project to downtown Sioux Falls development, and also feels that it will enhance the pavilion in many ways. And the more theaters we have operating downtown, the better. And the State Theater will not compete with the pavilion because of the difference in venues. We are also gaining the help of a lot of different business leaders in town. I'm noting a couple in our presentation, and we have a lot of companies that have actually already made in-kind contributions as we're moving into this first phase in the interior of the building. The State Theater project will be a project to return the theater to its original intended purpose. It will add about $5.7 million. That's the size of the development project we're putting forward. It will add jobs and tax revenue. It'll add an affordable daily venue to the downtown business community. We'll run blockbuster film as well as classic and art film, live special events, working with the Pavilion and Orpheum just as needed. Primarily will be a film house. We'll offer low or no-cost community access for other kinds of events and for educational purposes. We'll have a state-of-the-art digital projection system, which will not only allow for all kinds of live performance or live, any kind of thing that you want to bring in, whether it's the World Series or the Philharmonic. You can bring, as many of you probably noted, there are other theaters starting to do it. It is the way things are moving. But we can also offer it as a conference center and be able to bring in digitally anything we want to from around the world. We'll have 1,000 comfortable seats. We'll focus on it being a very comfortable theater as it was when it opened in 1926. We'll preserve a really important, significant piece of Sioux Falls history. And we've also found that it's really the most efficient reuse of the building. If you look at how it's laid out, the fact that the building is still in its almost original condition or shape, the floor plan is still in the original floor plan, it's a really efficient way to reuse the building. It also enhances the quality of life for a growing number of residents downtown, but overall, businesses downtown and Sioux Falls at large as well. We're moving now into the interior projects for the building, since we have just about completed the exterior, other than a little bit more work that needs to go on with the marquee. In Phase 1 of the interior, we are looking at raising about $500,000 to fund the lobby, which will open to the public as a promotional center and retail business, again, next summer sometime. We are looking primarily, if this will work, let me show you. I don't know that that's going to work on this program, but basically it's the area in orange that we'll be using, or we'll be funding this year and hoping to open as soon as possible to the public. Part of the reason we want to do this in phases is so that we can get people into the building again as soon as possible and looking at the project and enjoying it. We will have a small retail piece available as well, which we have written an RFP for and haven't concluded yet what type of business will end up in that lobby with us, but it will be something that enhances the theater. Phase 2, a much larger phase, will be about $2.8 million, and will rehabilitate, actually this isn't the right picture, it will rehabilitate the auditorium, which basically opens it as a center for film in about 2011, maybe 2010, depending on funding. We're looking at several funding sources that are different in this phase, federal appropriation being probably the biggest difference. That's the only money we're seeking from the government. It's a program that they have that helps to preserve historic buildings and other types of historic property. We have also, of course, a lot of named giving opportunities, in-kind contributions, and private and public grants. 2011 to 2012, Phase 3 will bring in the end of the project, which is basically the area in green. This is the piece that I wanted to speak to you specifically about, because we are about to do an interview with the Chamber of Commerce Community Appeals Committee, and would really appreciate you considering supporting us in that project or process. With that kind of funding coming in at the end of this project, we'll be able to completely finish the building, and we feel it's vital to the building that we have the support of the business community. The business plan we put together, again, mainly focuses on film. We have done a very conservative, we've taken a conservative look at the numbers that are possible, and with just looking at 5% of the Sioux Falls market share and utilizing about 9% of the capacity of the theater over the course of a year, all of our expenses are met on the facility, and actually we make a small profit at that point. An early estimate shows about $1 million impact on Sioux Falls based on an economic prosperity study that we looked at. And also the USD has offered to do another study that will further substantiate the revenue that can be derived from this project. Not included in our revenue are some other things that will only enhance those numbers. We'll have community access at a low or no cost, again, for special events and educational events, which are high on our priority list, as well as having a museum component to the building. Concessions will be an important part of the building as well, and as I mentioned, we have an RFP already written, looking for a retail, someone to come in with a retail business. The State Theater, again, has defied the odds of, and has not been, of course, torn down over the last 25 years. And for that, we are truly thankful that it's sitting here ready now to be an economic force as it was in 1926. The State Theater is a nonprofit, tax-deductible 501c3 organization. We will not be dependent on any government money for operation. The State Theater will add significantly to the Sioux Falls economy. We need the support of the Chamber of Commerce Community Appeals Committee, and we'd ask that you please let our community appeals leaders know that you support the State Theater project. The State Theater is the only has only the Sioux Falls community to rely on for this funding, and so it's incredibly important that we get on that list and that we gain the support not only of the business community but the community at large, because that's really who has to help us with this, and that's also who will benefit directly from it. The community has already donated or pledged about $900,000 to reopen the State Theater, and we need your support to finish the project. So many people have already invested in, and we believe the timing is right and the moment is now, and we need your help. Thank you. And if you have any questions.
Thank you, Stacy. You know, I really appreciate your leadership and your passion towards for getting this thing. And I remember when I went down there and the new marquee was up, it was stunning to see that. And you know, just the effect that it had on that street in that part of Sioux Falls was really something to me. Now, I'm old enough to remember the Hollywood Theater and the Egyptian Theater. Now, the Granada, that was a little bit before my time, but I remember the Hollywood had the quarter matinee where you go watch monster movies on Sunday, and you could sit there all day, and in the wintertime, I'd have to walk by that cathedral at night to go home, and, you know, I'd whistle in the dark there. But, you know, I want to tell you that the State Theater was my sister's first job when she was out of high school, so I spent a lot of time in the car sitting out front of there waiting there. Of course, my sister was in there. I was banned from entering the premises, so I didn't go in there all that much. But, you know, I know right now we're probably entering a tough time, and you know, everybody's kind of looking at it. But I want to remind you that I am part of a large downtown congregation, and those people decided to redo the whole church and do a whole church product right in the beginning of the Depression. And they were successful, and they did not listen to the naysayers of those who said it could not be done. And so I want you just to persevere on here and, you know that eventually you'll get this thing done, and I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to the city of Sioux Falls. Councilor Knudsen.
And, well, Stacy, I would like to echo Councilor Chair Litz's comments as far as thanking you for your leadership on this project. I mean, I would like to thank you just for all your preservation efforts in our community, having served, I know you have served for some time on our local preservation board. For those people who are listening to your presentation today, or might be listening to the rebroadcast of it on Channel 16 in the near future, if they are interested in getting involved in this restoration effort, with their hard work, their time, and of course some money, as individuals or businesses, how would they contact you, please?
They can go, if they're online, they can go to SiouxFallsStateTheater.org. They can also call me directly at 335-7313. We will also have an open house at the theater on October 25th in the evening from 6 to 8 p.m., where anyone's welcome to come in and take a look. And, of course, I'd be happy to show any of you the theater as well if you can't do it on that day, anytime.
Would you repeat that again on the open house? I didn't quite get that down.
Sure. It'll be at the State Theater, October 25th, from 6 to 8 p.m.
Will you be featuring popcorn as a snack?
We will.
Very good. Any other comments or questions of Stacy? Seeing none, Stacy, thank you for coming down here with that update today. I've been real curious about what's going on. I know we exchanged a few emails on the way back, and I hope someday I can get a little bit of time to come down there myself.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Stacy. Well, anything else for the good of the order? Nobody has anything, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. No?
So moved.
I don't need that? This lady's shaking her head over here, straightening me out, so. She just wants to leave. Yeah, she just wants to go. I guess we just stand adjourned then, folks. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.